Good day, everyone. I am Lizelle Mabisa, and my topic is all about indexes and abstracts. According to Nancy Simovani, information that cannot be located might as well not exist. Diba? What is indexes? Indexes, a tool which indicates to a user the information or a source of information that one needs. It is a systematic guide designed to indicate subjects, topics, or features of documents in order to facilitate their retrieval. Indexes is a list of authors, titles, or subjects of publications without comment. What are the uses of indexes? Indexes facilitate reference to the specific material or to locate wanted information. It serves as filter to withhold irrelevant materials. It makes the information storage and retrieval system useful to individual. And this goes related information and indexes a tool for current awareness services. What are the uses and the characteristics of index or indexes? Indexes can be used to reveal a library's resources that may not be seen in the catalog. Our value-added service and a list of additional resources not located in a given library's collection. Abstracts. Abstract. Abstract serves as an aid in assessing the content of a document and its potential relevance. It improves access to the growing number of publications. It is also an abbreviated, accurate representation of the significant content of a document, and it is usually accompanied by an adequate bibliographic description to enable original document to be traced. Enhancement to meet users' needs. Addition of newspapers, newswire, radio, and television transcripts indexes have expanded. Inclusion of abstracts in what were formerly one indexing services in some full text articles, marketing of different subsets was service to meet needs of different libraries, and the creation of rich networks. Evaluation. How to evaluate abstracts and indexes. As reference librarians use the tool in reference work, they evaluate indexes and abstracts and choose those that will best reveal the contents of their own collection or that will refer users to needed information beyond library walls. Important characteristics to consider are the format, the scope, the authority, the accuracy, arrangement, and any special features that enhance effectiveness or ease of use. Format. Many indexes and abstracts now exist in electronic form accessible via web. Some still have a print counterpart. Other exist only in electronic form. The print format may still lend itself best to browsing, especially for abstracts, but the electronic forms usually have much more powerful search capabilities with more access points and the possibility of refining searches by using the Boolean logic to combine terms. Because many databases did not cover the literature before the mid-1960s, searches of indexes and abstracts for older literature must rely on the print versions for the period of interest. The readability of entries is important, whether the index is in print or in electronic form. Indexes vary in type of size, use of boldface, and other aspects of presenting entries. Extensive use of abbreviations may make the entries hard to interpret without frequent reference to list of abbreviations and symbols elsewhere in this set. Next is the scope. You consider also the time covered, the frequency and accumulation, the currency, the type of materials covered, the number of publications covered, and depth. Some are inclusive, covering letters and letters to the editors, and some restrict coverage to research articles. Next is the authority. You also have to consider the reputation of the publisher or the sponsoring organization, the qualification of the editorial staff. The publishers include the commercial firms, the professional associations, the government agencies. The H and W. Wilson Company is one of the longest established commercial firms. Then next is the accuracy. Also consider that all authors associated with an indexed item, including the author indexed, are all major facets of the content of the article represented by entries in the subject index. The full author names versus initials, the controlled vocabulary, the cross references, and may include augmented titles and abstracts. Next is the arrangement. Determines the approach. Indexes are typically arranged alphabetically. The abstracts often appear in a classified arrangement that makes it easier to browse entries for related material. And the additional indexes may offer access points to the publication index. Access points in print resources are limited to subject, author, and title. In electronic form, it will provide additional search options such as keywords. So the special features you also have to consider: the list of periodicals, the list of other sources index, the clear indication of material covered bibliographic information for those not, and publish list of subject headings. It helps to formulate effective search strategies in print and electronic indexes and abstracts. In selection, indexes and abstracts are often expensive tools, no matter what format is selected. Selection of titles for a particular collection must take into account the characteristics of the collection as well as the needs of the users for access beyond what is already provided. With the library's catalog, directories of periodicals can be used to identify available indexes and abstracts. In selection assistance, Ulrich International Periodicals Directory is a section on abstracting and indexing services cross-references to subject-specific sources, the magazines for the libraries, and the Gale directory of databases. Next is the need of users. Indexes and abstracts selected for a particular library collection should reflect the type of information and publication that the library of users wish to access. They should allow more complete use of the local collection as well as identification of publications of possible value available elsewhere. General periodical indexes and newspapers indexes could be useful in libraries of all types. Selection of periodical indexes devote to particular subject as areas will reflect the subject interest of the library's user. Next is the cost. Some publishers of indexes and abstracts offer discounted pricing on a second format if one format is already part of the library's collection. A complete analysis of cost factors for each format has to take into account subscription prices, the binding and the shelving cost for print copies, the equipment cost for using online databases, and the per search charges for licensing cost for online access. So the trade-offs may be different for different indexes, given that each publisher develops its own pricing policy. Increasingly, libraries are gaining access to electronic version through participation in consortial licensing arrangements, which may reduce the price paid by each participating library. Next is the uniqueness. Uniqueness relates to both the coverage and the arrangement of the indexes and the abstracts being considered for selection. So although overlap in sources index is one of the indicator of the degree of uniqueness of indexes, the access points and the search capabilities provided by the indexes must also be considered. Two indexes could cover many of the same periodicals, but the subject indexing provided may give the user different ways of approaching the content in each. Thus, the examination of overlap in materials covered must be supplemented by an assessment of the approaches provided to those materials by the different index. Next is the full text coverage. Factors to consider in comparing full-text database includes which titles are covered in various subject areas and whether any are unique, not covered elsewhere, the coverage dates, the currency policy on inclusion of the article types and illustrations, whether text is searchable for any displayable indexing output formats and pricing. Next is the important general sources. So this chapter describes some of the most widely held general periodical indexes, the newspaper indexes, the broad subject periodical indexes, the citation indexes, indexes for special types of materials, the index of reviews, and indexes for different literary forms. Many other indexing and abstracting services are devoted to coverage of the literature of a specific subject area and lie outside the scope of this chapter. Selection among completing products should include evaluation of the quality of the abstract as well as the indexing. So general periodical indexes. It's an index periodicals covering current events, hobbies, popular culture, and school curriculum related areas. The Reader's Guide to Periodical Literature has filled this need since 1900. Major publishers of general periodical indexes: the EBSCO Publishing, the Academic Search Complete. It has more than 12,500 publications that are indexed and more than 8,500 in full text. So the Gale Academic One File, more than 14,000 publications indexed and more than 6,000 in full text. And H.W. Wilson, the Wilson Omnifile Full Text New Edition, nearly 3,600 publications indexed and approximately 2,200 in full text. The ProQuest, more than 17,000 publications indexed and more than 11,400 in full text. These periodical indexes. It consists of the author index. The entry points are names of person, the organization, the government agencies, institution, and etc. The examples is the Development Bank of the Philippines, the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Romulo Carlos P. Next is the alphabetical subject index. An alphabetical subject index covers a different number of different kinds of indexes. The arrangement is in alphabetical order and follows a familiar pattern. Examples, the Reader's Guide to Periodical Literature, or the RGPL, the Index to Philippine Periodicals, or the IPP. Next is the classified index. The entry points are arranged in a hierarchy of related topics, starting with generic or broad topics and working down to the specific ones. Example, the Index Medicus, it's classified index in the field of medicines and related disciplines. Next is the General Engineering Index, classified index in the field of engineering and related disciplines. The newspaper indexes is the access to information on the current events at the national and international level, as well as the regional and local news. New York Times Index is the best known print newspaper index. The Gale Group National Newspaper Index and the ProQuest full text newspapers are a couple of well-known electronic indexes. This is the example, the New York Times Index. So you can, as you can see, the year, you just simply click the year and next is the citation indexes. Allows the user to locate items based on the different type of relationship, the links created in author cite earlier works by another author, or even some of their previously published works. The primary use is to find for a particular publication known to the searcher later items that have cited it. So index for special types of materials, access to dissertation, locate pamphlets on a particular topics, conference proceedings, and reference or research reports, conference literature, the patents, the technical reports. Then index of reviews, it helps to locate reviews of books, the book review digest, and the book review indexed. Example. Non-print materials such as film and software and the media review digest example. Example of book review digest. The Emerald Insight. Next is the search strategies. Reference interview is essential to be able to direct users to proper index, including format, and be able to give the instruction on how to use an index, explain how to begin the most specific heading and proceeding to most general headings. The librarian should study the electronic databases. And that would be all. Thank you for listening and God bless.